Hangar 18. I know too much.
Go, Spurs, go, 'cause the Giants stay.
What is up, San Antonio Spurs fans? Welcome to TSR Sports. Came across an article from Bleacher Report today, and they suggested a trade that, let's just say, is it's out there. It is way out there with the Spurs trading for Zach LaVine and a couple other teams involved. Would I make a trade for him? I'll answer that in just a few moments, but let's get into this. Let's just get into this. So our San Antonio Spurs would receive Zach LaVine, okay? The Golden State Warriors would receive Brandon Ingram, okay? They certainly, if they're trying to win another chip, could use some offensive firepower. The New Orleans Pelicans receive Keldon Johnson and Zach Collins. But why would they want them outside of a salary match? And then Chicago Bulls, this is crazy, receive Dennis Schroeder, Kyle Anderson, Kevon Looney, Gary Payton II, plus 2 second-round picks from the Spurs. Our own pick and the Bulls pick that we took from them in, I don't remember what trade that was. One of the many trades with the Bulls. I gotta stop right here. Like, did the Bulls have roster space that I'm not aware of to take on 4 players? I did read one of the reasons that the Bulls might do this trade is to get out from Zach LaVine's contract if they're going to rebuild, and all the contracts they're taking on are expiring. But where are they going to put all the players? Is one of these guys hurt? Are all these dudes hurt? Are they all in the injured reserve? So there's some kind of exemption that they can just stick them all in there? Anyways, let's get into why our Spurs would do it. Okay. An 18-16 start to the season had the San Antonio Spurs in the Western Conference play-in tournament. Although a 1-4 slide over the past 5 games and 2-6 this season, or this year in 2025, now has Victor Wembanyama and company all the way down to 12th in the ultra-competitive West. San Antonio's offense ranks just 19th overall this season. Well, at least it's not the worst. And our three-point shooting is 23rd overall at 34%, which would be below the league average of 35-point-something. Zach LaVine is having a monster season for Chicago, putting up about 24 points per game on crazy good efficiency, 51.6, 45.5, and 80.7 for his shooting splits. That is ridiculous. About 42, 46, 81. He's having the most efficient season of his career. If he was to team up with Wemby, I'd have to think those numbers might even go up higher. So for those of you that said trade for Zach LaVine last year, well, I got to think his trade value went up with the year he's having this year. I don't believe he's missed much time either, so he's been balling for Chicago. LaVine would help Wemby shoulder the scoring load and should have plenty of offensive space, sharing the floor with the all-world center and future Hall of Famer point guard in CP3. His contract shouldn't be an issue for the Spurs either, as LaVine's $49 million player option, assuming it picks it up, will expire in the summer of 2027. At the same time, a max rookie extension for Wemby will kick in. And at the point, LaVine would be, 31 or 32? This kind of feels a little like a win-now move, but maybe it's not a win-now move. Maybe it's a get-better-now move and then win-next-year move. I don't know. Let's continue on. A starting 5 of Paul, LaVine, Vassell, Sohan, and Wemby with Barnes, Castle, Champagnie, Trey Jones, and others off the bench would be enough to move San Antonio up the West standings. I agree. It would be enough to move us up, but how much? In this scenario, we're giving up some second-round picks. We have 1 million of those. We're getting rid of Zach Collins, and he needs a fresh start somewhere. Keldon, I would hate to move on from him, but I'm being a homer there. But yeah, obviously his game has taken a step back from, especially where it was 2 years ago. Let's talk about this. Zach is 29 at this moment, 43 million this year, 45 next, and then the 49 million player option that Bleacher Report talked about. That efficiency is off the charts this year, and it probably would be even better with Wemby. We already see right now how teams swarm him, getting double-teamed, triple-teamed. I see a lot of you saying defenses have figured it out. Just keep all eyes on Wemby and let everybody else just shoot, and we have a lot of guys that can't shoot right now. So this would be an interesting pairing. I will say I am 100 million% okay with moving Zach Collins. There needs to be a salary match with that projected trade with the Pelicans. Is it the Pelicans are shipping over to? I don't know. There was a lot of moving parts on that. But I would rather move somebody else besides Keldon if possible. Harrison Barnes comes to mind. But then, why would they want Barnes? You got to think they'd want a younger player. I do think for this to happen, it would also take better draft picks than just second-round picks going to Chicago. Yes, they're getting a ton of players, but it looks like most of those players they wouldn't really be holding on to. So I got to think the deal's going to have to be sweetened a ton. And with all the moving parts in this trade scenario, with 4 teams involved, I don't think this would ever happen. Not in this scenario. I don't know where they're throwing this out there. And in the Bulls getting 4 players, they're going to be way over the roster limit, unless I'm missing something, which is possible. I do these on break at work, so I only have just a very small amount of time I can do research, so my apologies, I'm getting something wrong on this. That being said, Zach LaVine, for the right price, and by the right price is, not 5 first-round picks or something crazy, but for the right price, when you consider his injury history and his large contract, would I be in on it? Yeah, probably. I know I was kind of no. But you know what? There's also that, can this be a one-off year? He's having such a crazy year. Is this just more of an anomaly? Or should the Spurs go for it and we get Hangar 18? And then we have Hangar 18 starting and then Area 51 in there at times. And we're going to have all sorts of nicknames for our guys on the court. I don't think LaVine's coming here. The Bulls, though, if they do decide to hit the reset button, if the Spurs were to jump into the Zach LaVine pool and try to make a trade for him, I would root for him. It would be fun. I just don't know if it would be the right move. Does he fit our timeline? He's not old at 29. Probably has a good 4, 5, maybe 6, 7 years left in him. But the contract's an issue. If he's going to make $50 million at the time after his player option, then we got Wemby's contract, Castle's contract not too far there down the line. It's something we have to consider. One thing that I want to close off with is we do have to consider the Spurs salary cap with the new CBA. We're not going to be a team that spends over the cap like other teams and pays millions and millions and millions of dollars of tax penalties. They're going to try to keep it under the cap, and I just don't know bringing a player with a contract like this is going to work out for us long term. Unless it's a stopgap thing. We unload Zach Collins' contract, move on from Keldon. Maybe the draft picks are sweetened up, and then he's a player that we have a lot of fun with watching the rest of this season, next season. Maybe sticks around for one more year as player option, and then when he's 32 or whatever, part ways, and then go from there and just kind of do this thing where we've talked about this, I think, with other teams doing this. I can't remember the team that did this model, but no, we did it. Come on, TSR. Jeez, long week already. Bring in these vets to help fill out the roster, and he's a vet. Fill out the roster while you're developing your young guys, and have your young guys develop next to him. And then when, I don't want to say you've used them up, but when it's time to not re-sign that contract, you move on from them, and hopefully a young guy is ready to take his spot. So I'm kind of talking myself into this, Spurs fans. I just don't know what it would do for us, because I do see the community kind of split. Some of you got to get better. We got to win in Paris. We can still make a push for the play-in. It's playoffs. We're going to do it. We're going to do it TSR. And then there's the other half of the crowd where it's like, we're tanking, or we're just not good enough, and let's just try to develop what we got and then get a great draft pick and see what we do next year. I don't know. Whatever Brian Wright does, he's got to nail. I will say this, because you guys have been talking about this too. He's got to nail this 2025 draft. If we get, let's say, we are going to get 2 first-round picks. Even if he just trades away one of them, which wouldn't shock me, for a swap way out in the future, he's got to nail whoever we pick. If we're picking, which right now is assumed to be 10th, if we pick 10th, that guy cannot be a bust. We cannot reach on. We can't have a Primo situation part 2. And I'm not talking about a player getting in trouble and getting waived off the team for misconduct off the court. You can't be a bust on the court. So, Brian, I'm counting on you, and we'll see what happens. I really don't know if the Spurs are going to make any moves before the trade deadline. My heart says let's do something, but my mind says ain't nothing going to happen. Spurs are going to spur. Drop a comment down below your thoughts on this crazy Bleacher Report trade scenario. Any way this could happen? I don't think so. That being said, would you want Zach LaVine on the Spurs? And if so, what would you trade for him? Let me know. Always loving your comments. Hit the thumbs up, like, support the channel, subscribe, become part of our awesome Spurs community. I thank you, and as always, go Spurs go.